Compensation is very important. Where's Jessica Baker? Jessica is amazing at organization design and structuring these because every company, depending on the goals, are different. So we might have you add in along the way. There's a lot of restructuring going on right now.
And we're also struggling with operationally.
Okay.
Progressing the deals in the system. These cams, I mean, I know that I'm operations.
I can see that. I love that though. We love operations.
I have Meg's old job.
Ah, okay. Meg, you're at Riverbed?
Yes.
Okay, both of you.
Yes.
Riverbed, okay.
So, but there's things that are missing that these cams need to be enabled in, and right now they're freaking out.
Yes. We see a lot of this, and people think, oh, well, if I tell them once or I train them once, it's done, and they're going to go forth and prosper. Yeah, and they have so much coming at them. Hello. Welcome. Hi. Come on in.
Can I actually add one other thing?
Please.
Kind of goes along with it is how to manage the pipeline, or how do you track the pipeline as it's progressing
Yes.
for the deals that have been written?
Yes. Good. Anybody else? We're talking about what you're curious about around people, Pam's development.
So yesterday we were talking to somebody at breakfast that was new to InPartner, and she was sharing that she's having some issues because they're not updating their activity in the system, but the main reason is because they're updating multiple other, like the CRM and the TSD portals, and here's just one more. How do you drive that kind of activity so that we don't constantly have to make phone calls and send
Yeah.
emails?
It's a hard, Graham, you were the CEO of Softcat. How many vendors did you have as partners? 400. How many as your top performing?
Well, the top 10 vendors make up around about 60%.
Right. So imagine managing. Go ahead, Linda.
So that's my question is less around the technical and stuff, but strategically, I want my CAM to understand your business model. I want them to know how to have a conversation.
This is the number one thing that we have to do with our partner managers is to elevate the business conversation with the partners. Yes, which you've been ahead of the game in.
And why
Anybody?
that's hard is when they're being tasked to chase tasks.
That is, you're exactly
And
right.
if they're being compensated there, they're not
Yeah,
doing this.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
would just say to that partner engagement question that it's very, very important to customize it, because I just know that our company, for example, we don't operate like the rest of the company.
Right.
We go out of our way to be different. We do things differently. And so when vendor partners are coming to us and it's a kind of pre-planned one-size-fits-all approach, it doesn't always
Doesn't work anymore.
Well, see, and that's what I thought was so interesting about your discussion yesterday. One, you thought resale was still cool, but it's the nucleus that you build and wrap everything else around. So for our CAMs to understand that and to know how to then take what we do and fit it within a value prop that they offer the market, it's more like we're inside versus it's our message. And
100%.
And that's both a CAM issue and an internal reframing of the market.
And that's an organization issue at the vendor. For those of us that have been doing this a long time, right? I remember the days where, Microsoft sold to the partner and the partner sold to the customer. Whatever Microsoft said you should do, you should do. And it's not that way anymore. These partners and the customers have so much more power in the ecosystem. Good. Anybody else want to share anything you're curious about? All right. Well, we're going to have lots of chances to talk and interact. Welcome.
Well, thank you.
I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here.
I would be somewhere at 1:45, but I wanted to see a few minutes, but don't take it the wrong way
You-
from walking out, because I'm that interested.
You are. We can catch up afterwards. Okay. Is anybody going on the boat tonight?
Yeah.
All right. Are you going on the boat tonight?
Yes.
We'll see you on the boat tonight. All right. Good. Who has their hand up? Hey.
We are brand new to the partner platform.
Okay.
In fact, we just purchased it in December now.
Oh.
One of the things that metrics for my team is PM productivity. So that's one of the things I would like to see.
Talk about how we're measuring productivity. Yep. Very good. And the metrics associated. Okay. Theresa, Caragol, you introduced me already. Founder and CEO, former channel chief at a number of tech companies, including Sienna, who's in the room. And we've been at this about 7 years. Jessica Baker is here. She has a very big brain in partnering and ecosystems and channel. I'd put her on par with anybody here that's the best you saw, she's the best you see. Where's Jen Stone? Jen Stone is here. Jen leads some of our best programs that we do with clients. She's amazing and super smart and really fun too. So that is our Achieve Unite team. And yes, we do. Yes, we do. All right, I think you're going to have to press the button. Oh, that's my face. Okay, let's not look at that. Okay, keep going. All right. So I am thrilled. We're going to talk about the ecosystem because part of what is driving this change, I would argue the biggest thing driving this change is the ecosystem and why they can't be transactional channel managers anymore. And then we're going to talk about the skills and we're going to talk about the other things that are changing. Good. So how does that look? What do you think of that? That is the new world, right? Far more complex. Partners hold the power, customers hold the power, but the vendors don't always hold the power anymore. And on average, when you sell I love having Graham in the room. When you used to be the CEO of Graham, of Softcat, of Graham, now you're the CEO of Graham, and you sold a solution, how many vendors were in the solution on average?
Quite a few.
Right? And in the enterprise space, probably more, mid-size, yeah. So now there's more vendors in a solution because it's a solution, not a product, and I'm buying business outcomes. I'm not buying technology anymore. I'm buying return on an impact, right? So this whole world is changing, and many of these PAMs who've been doing their jobs a long time grew up in a different world, and some of the newer folks have to learn the new world, right? Welcome, how are you? Hi, Johnny. We're glad to have you. Come in. Take a spot. Amy's here too. Hi, Amy. I'm so glad you're here. All right. So there's lots of stats about, even though partnerships are proven to be important, 73% of marketers think managing partners is one of the biggest challenges they have. So there's a lot happening at the executive suite of our vendors and our partners as well. Is it working, or do I look at you to turn this? Look at you. Okay. I'll look at you, because that'll just tempt me more. Okay. So now we have this whole ecosystem, and how many of you consider yourself an executive in the company? And how many of you are doing talent development for your people? How many of you feel like that is one of the top responsibilities you have as a leader? Yeah. And our people are 75% more likely to stay in an organization when they're being developed. They are 54% of the workforce will need upskilling or reskilling by 2025 because of all of the change that is happening right now in the tech industry. And these people, 20% of the workers are confident. Only 20% of the people that work in your organization are confident that they have the right skills. And we have these training programs that think, well, I did a 6-week program. Well, I don't understand why they didn't change. I don't understand why. So we're going to talk about in order to get behavior change, it can't be one and done. It can't be general. There's now much more proven research around how you drive behavior change in order to get what you want. And 62% of HR directors says they believe they have to reskill at least once. So HR is going through. So this is what's going on in the workplace, right? Click. Thank you. And so you can see we have retention challenges. By the way, retention is in the US economy, people are staying in their jobs over the last 12 to 18 months. But prior to that, we had a crazy economy of that. And I think that's on the upswing. Once the election happens, we're going to see that again. So we got to focus on our best talent. We've got to develop our high potentials. The cost of disengagement, only 20% of your employees are at maximum capacity and completely engaged. That means 80% of our people are not. And we see this in the partner manager space at an unbelievable level. Good job. So what stops these PAMs and CAMs and partner people at the vendor space from growing their businesses? One, they don't understand the partner's business, right? That is absolutely one of them. Two, they have so many operational things they're doing that they can't focus on the strategic things. That's another. Does compensation drive behavior? Oftentimes it does, right? Especially in salespeople. What else stops people from growing their businesses?
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty.
Changes in leadership, regions, roles.
So this is a big one, right? This change is happening all around them. Do people like change? A lot of people? You do. We know. We've heard about you. Yes. We know you like change. But not everybody likes change. Everybody has a different lean into how they handle change. So that is really big. So you can see what they're up against now. Your salespeople at the partner, what did you want from the vendor? What did you want your vendor people to do that they didn't do?
I did all this yesterday. You want to ask me?
I wasn't here yesterday.
You weren't. The one who asked me that. That was
He asked you that 6 times, didn't he? What?
It was one, show up in the office, meet with his team, okay? Be flexible in terms of whatever you've got, in terms of tailoring what they need actually stuff to do.
This one's huge, right?
The two ones that I heard, because we try to force a rigid program and a rigid pricing approach versus working
just
with
back to
you.
my point of yeah. And I think first to summarize it, just be open-minded. Every
Yeah.
deal, every customer, there's nothing that we do that is 100% repeatable.
Right.
Let's really get a deep understanding of what it is that customer wants at that time.
And then these partner managers might have that DNA that he's looking for, but what's happening? The CEOs or the CFOs or the chief partner officers don't have that DNA. So they're in a really challenging spot as the face to these partners. Good job. Did you do well yesterday? He did? Okay, good. Way to go. Graham came to us from one of my best mentors ever, and so I like him because of that. Yes. Good. All right. Good. So we hosted a roundtable of channel chiefs, and we were writing all the skills that they wanted all of their PAMs to have. Yeah, this is a cleaned up version of what they want. So, couple things. One is look at all these hard skills that we're asking of these people, who are often individual contributors, who, by the way, most executives don't have all of these skills, right? So we're asking them to have all of these hard skills, but what's also happened in the last 3 years is what has become more important than ever, and I hate the word soft skills, but it's these other imperative skills. Can you lead people through change? Can you influence others? Can you build deep levels of trust, right? All of these things have become so much more important. And so now we're asking them to be all of this in this new world. That's not easy, right? So this is what they're up against as they're learning. Good job. So this was when we do development programs for companies, and you know this, we don't do generic training because we don't believe long-term you're going to change behavior if these people aren't in their world learning what applies to them and how they have to change it. And so this was a sample of a SWOT of a program that we did, and look at here. There's a huge level of distrust with the partners. And by the way, we see this over and over again right now. All of these weaknesses about exactly what she talked about. The opportunities, we need them to work better with their direct sellers. We need them to work better with the partner reps. We need them to have much stronger and deeper and more trusted relationships in the company. Good job. He's doing a really good job, isn't he? Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We could go back. I won't tell you the name of the company in that one, but these things are very common that we hear a lot. Where were you? Go ahead.
So one of the things it said in the weaknesses area, if you go back to the slides, sorry. There is better funded competitor channel programs. I mean, how do you even solve for that?
And how does a PAM solve for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or lack of relevance. Yeah. So the point is, you can see that these PAMs are the face and are being asked to do many of these things. Do they control those things? And so it happens at this, the executive level, which I heard yesterday there was quite a bit about the chief partner officer and elevating the role of the ecosystem at the CEO and executive table, which we've been talking to Gary about for, I think, 17 years. Right. So there is something that's really changing. Yeah. Good. All right. So what is partnering trust, and how do you know when you can trust someone? Because it all starts here. This is the foundation, fundamental element. You piloted with us 4 years, I think it's almost, when did we start? 18 months ago you piloted the program, and we started that 3 years ago, building a psychometric index that would measure trust and that would help people have a science of building trust. It was 3 years in the making. It's now been out a year, and we've had over, are we at 1,500? 2,000 people who have gone through and learning PQI. And the journalist, when we launched it, the journalist said, you're 2 years ahead of your time. We were picked up by 250 publications. They said trust is just becoming a thing that you can actually measure, that people are just starting to talk about. So, trust is at the foundation of all partnerships. How do you know when you can trust someone? Ooh, it's different for... I love you. There's 5 profiles, but anyway, we'll talk about that later. Yes. Yeah, how do you know when you can trust someone? And what is so important about trust? It goes 2 ways, right? Every partnership is 2 ways. It's the foundation of all partnerships. And by the way, PQI, if you ever go through PQI, it'll apply in your personal, right, Jess? It applies in your personal relationships too. I said, oh my God, my husband. You. That's. Oh, thank you.
When she was first developing this, we provided some input.
You did.
And then we took an element of that in a workshop we developed with them to address how our CAMs and our field sales teams work together to do a co-sell, be more effective. Because we come from a historically old legacy optical arena, which is very fragile, very complex technology. And that one little 30, 45-minute session we wove in probably was the most eye-opening part of the discussion. Because they tend to look at trust in one way, how they perceive it, and what you just said about the two-way street. They often forget about themselves as the catalyst to break it. So that was a really key part of the foundational part of this workshop.
Yeah. What we did with her 2 years ago is our fastest growing part of the business now is this integration of the sellers, the partners, the partner managers, and elevating them all to learn how to do this well. And yeah, we innovated together. So trust, anything else on trust? How do you know when you can trust someone? Jonathan, how do you know when you can trust someone? They can trust me. And do we all build trust the same way? No.
Like, I trust people until they give me a reason not to.
Right.
My husband doesn't trust anyone.
Yeah, mine either. I'm right there with you. Yes. So trust is built very differently. And you can... Good job. Again. Okay. So this is... I'm just going to do a quick overview on PQI. If you want to learn more, see Jess, Jen, me, and we'll talk to you more about it. But think EQ, think IQ. This is your PQ, and it's your ability to build partnering trust. And Sienna was in many companies were in the pilot, as well as nonprofits, every industry, and all around the world. We worked with Arizona State, Notre Dame, and the University of Glasgow in order to build the psychometric index. So all of this happens, and by the way, anybody statistics? It has very high Chromebax alpha, which means it is highly reliable and validated. And the professor said it's not going to matter if you're in Korea, or you're in Japan, or you're in Latin America, or you're in Europe, or America, it works. And lo and behold, we have been doing it around the world, and it works everywhere. It is the coolest thing. I was like, they were right.
Just to clarify the word partnering, it doesn't pertain to partners, it pertains to how I partner.
Great point.
What you were saying.
Yeah. It's my ability to build partnering trust, which might be very different than the way Jonathan builds partnering trust.
Internally and externally.
Exactly. Great point.
Just to kind of apply that, we did kind of like a mini PQI, but you guys were still in the growing stage of that. And it was really effective for our team to learn about each other. So like I found out I was an energizer. And it was interesting. Yes, of course. It was interesting to compare with each That's how I can collaborate with them to be more successful.
For me, it was most about, and you can, most about learning these different types and recognizing, and when I'm leading with a type, my own style, that maybe it's not. Maybe I have to tone it down a bit. Maybe I have to use data. Maybe I have to change the way I'm approaching something in order to accelerate trust. And so these are the 5 profiles. It is an index. If you're interested in doing it, we do it for individuals. We also do it for organizations. And increasingly now we're doing it with the vendor reps, the partner reps, and the partners going through programs together, which is just so cool. And so anybody say which one you think you are? Which one is she? She's a collaborator. The rarest type is the collaborator so far. Anybody else know what type? What do you think you are, Graham?
Well, my eyes were going towards the harmonizer.
Ooh. Harmonizers are the ones when you have the most difficult situations, you're in heavy negotiations. Don't bring an energizer because they're going to get emotional. Harmonizers, calm, cool, collected, and navigate it all.
That's not me.
I was actually going to say strategizer, but I bet you're somewhere between those two. We'll see. Good. So we are all, hi, you coming in? Everybody know Curtis, he's a love. Come on in.
I didn't mean to distract everything.
Hey, wait a minute. How come I walked in, you didn't say that?
Oh, does everybody know Mark Rogers? He's a love too. Woo! We love you, Mark Rogers. You must be very proud. Look at the show. This was amazing. I know. So we are all of these profiles, and the premise of PQI is, one, you recognize how does Mike lead himself building trust? And then you start to recognize, well, wait a minute, how do I recognize how Graham builds trust or how Mark Rogers builds trust? And how do I adapt it? So it's all about building your muscles, your trust building muscles in order to develop. So it's really, I don't even know what the word is. I'm just super proud of it. And I'll get geeky on you because it's so meaningful, and I really feel like if we could instill trust across people and across organizations and across partnerships and across the world, imagine what can happen. So we're starting to do this with nonprofits. We're starting to do this with healthcare companies. We're doing it with HR companies. We're not just doing it in tech anymore, which is really exciting too. Good job. So our goal, bringing it back to partnerships and our PAMs, is we've got to help these folks not be working with, you know how you work with the same partner and they call you all the time, but they don't actually grow their business and they're the same revenue or the same vendor, whoever it is, and they're not actually growing with you. We've got to help them pick and work and become the trusted partner for the right partners. And that's one of the biggest premises of this, is helping our PAMs navigate all of the noise, all of the things that they're assigned to, and help them really focus up and to the right. And that looks different at Riverbed than it does at Sienna, than it does at InPartner, right? Because all the strategies are different and the evolution of the maturity of partnering, which is why we're big advocates of not doing the generic stuff, because it only goes so far. And you're trying to change behaviors, right? What do you think, Frey? Are you texting a girl?
I'm tagging you in my LinkedIn post.
Oh, okay, good. Whew. Just checking.
Beautiful picture. I've been trying to take the best picture.
Thank you. You're the best. And I thought you were texting him. Oh, I know, he's the best. We love to pick on Free. Right back at you. And you are doing very modern day, very advanced in this planning, that business planning in this new world isn't a document that has 18 tabs and you do it once and it's just a checkbox. It's the exact opposite of that. And so we're really teaching a lot of modern day ways that we do effective planning. And that is actually another part of these PAMs. I don't know what happened over the years, but we designed these business planning templates that had like 18 tabs on them and 1,000 questions. And the PAMs are supposed to fill this out for their partners, and their partners are only like $3 million companies, and the partners hate it. And I don't know what we did, but we made a mess. So we got to clean that up now. Oh yeah, and we want to do it at the entry-level positions. And oh, by the way, their business is changing at a more rapid rate than ever before. So a year plan doesn't even really work for very long. So yeah, that's what they're up against. Good. All right, keep going. All right, so we are on the journey of moving, and I would argue this is the PAMs. It is also our sellers, right? Our sellers have to become strategic advisors also with the partners, exactly what Graham said. He doesn't want somebody to walk in and tell him this is the way it's done and this is how we do it and this is the box that, no, it's not gonna work anymore. So we have to help them all become much more strategic advisors. What do you think, Mark? What are the ingredients of a strategic advisor? Curtis, come on, you know the answer to this. Oh, I know. I'm gonna ask both of you.
The ingredients of a successful strategic advisor first has to be trust.
For trust is like, it's paramount, right? And there are certain qualities that characteristics, behaviors that you can develop that will accelerate regardless of your profile, your ability to build trust. Effective questioning, listening, active listening. There are a number, vulnerability, an appropriate level of vulnerability. You know, those are things that regardless of your profile, accelerate your ability to build trust. Good job. Come on, Mark, give me another one.
I think subject matter expertise.
You can't be at the table if you don't have subject matter. And so then we have these 20-somethings who are new in career and they're still learning their subject matter expertise. So how do they do it? And how do they bring value as they learn and mature? What else makes a strategic advisor? The best partner managers who are really strategic advisors, what do, Graham?
I think you've got to be curious, I think.
Yes. Open-minded and curious. Have you guys ever been in those situations where you just like finish what you're going to say so I can tell you what I want to tell you? Have you ever been like that? Oh no, I'm like that, right? We have to continue to lean in. My mom is the best at this. She's a counselor. I swear it must be that. She just keeps asking questions and keeps asking and digging and learning and getting more curious. And we have to teach our partner managers how to do that effectively.
I'd say part of it is also high EQ, where they know how to pivot. Because a conversation I'm having with Keith, whatever his issue is different than I'm going to have with Mark or you. So they've got to be able to sense that situation that they're in and understand it and connect the dots and move into a different sort of.
Absolutely. And this EQ, how many of you think EQ is fixed? They say IQ is fixed. EQ, PQ, nope. Everything can be developed. All of it is development. Some of us might have more natural, like Jess knows my husband, maybe not so natural, but he's working on it. Right? Like some of us are more natural than others in some of these, but they all can be developed. Good. Go ahead. I know I need another way to talk to you, like something creative every time. So, go ahead. What are you going to say, Curtis? That's exactly where we're going. So what we have found doing these programs with many of the biggest tech companies is there are these 5 ingredients of a strategic advisor. And again, the devil's in the details. This looks different for Curtis than it does for Keith. But in general, the ability to bring data insights, right? I know what's going on in the market. I know what's going on maybe in competitive land. I know what your customers care about. And I bring those data insights into the conversations. And my company, HP, has this incredible data insights lab that they built with data from their partners that the partner managers get to take into their QBRs. So there's companies that are doing a lot in this domain. You guys have a lot of incredible data. Trust and credibility, I think we've talked about that one quite a bit. This business planning thing is real. It has to be great, and they have to learn how to do it really well. And this muscle has to get developed. Who likes metrics and financials and KPIs and objectives? We know you do. Yes, we definitely. Joanna with the H. Joey. Joe. Yes, we have to KPIs because they have to learn how to set really good, reasonable goals with their partner that their partners buy into, right? Have you ever been told here's your goal? You gonna do it this year?
Every year.
Yeah. Well, then then there's that at In Partner with Joe. And you report to Mark, so there you go. But right, we want to be part of shaping our goals. We want to be part of shaping the objectives. We want to be part of setting metrics. How many of you believe revenue is the only indicator of success for a PAM? Ultimate, but there are what we call leading indicators that you're probably going to get the revenue if you're doing these certain things. But these certain things don't look the same for free as they do for you all. It depends, again, on where you're journeying. So making sure we're measuring the right leading indicators and then empowering our PAMs to do that. And then the last one is, how many of you feel like you're good at setting strategy and building strategy? Yeah, I agree. Yeah? Feel like you're good at building strategy. How many of you feel like you're good at execution? Great. How many of you feel like you're good at both? Good. Can you get better? Always, right? So these two muscles have to get built because they both, for the PAMs, now I would argue some PAMs, if the strategy is already set, right, for a relationship with Softcat and there's a director of that relationship, maybe that PAM that works for that director is in more of an execution mode. But they should still be learning strategy all the time because strategy is what is so critical to being able to pivot and know when you have to pivot, right? So we want to be developing both of these muscles. Good. Anything, Jess, you want to say? Put you on the spot. I love putting Jessica on the spot, too. It's very fun. It's actually something that I enjoy. Like, I really look forward to doing this to her. Go ahead.
Yeah, ask me the question again.
Anything you want to say about the elements of a strategic advisor?
I'd say that, this looks very different if you were talking about a direct seller, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've always said that the PAMs, the CAMs, whatever you want to call it, sort of like the redheaded stepchildren of organizations because they're expected to know all of the details about the products and the sales and the feature, function, blah, 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 how the company works and how to position the product, but not a lot of attention is paid to how they can actually create these relationships with the partners. And these are the top 5 elements here, right? And nobody's really helping the PAMs cultivate these skills. And this is time and attention and detail, and they need to be able to focus on these things. Compensation does drive behavior. And so, especially for your most strategic partners, this becomes paramount that you have individuals on your team that can excel in these 5 areas to take the strategic relationship to where it
And you may structure, right, we're working with a pretty mature organization now who's been doing the same thing with these partners for a very long time, and they've got to go get a big lift over the next 2 years. So they've got to restructure how they're organizing their people and their roles and responsibilities in order to get that lift. So it looks different depending on the maturity of a Riverbed or another company. You gonna say something?
probably shouldn't say it, but I would say that,
We always like when you preface it with that. You have to say it now.
because I was like,
No, say it.
I love this, but we as the leadership structure in companies have to create the environment for success for this. Because with all the operational challenges and everything we provide on them, they don't have the time,
Yeah.
even if they have the ability
Yeah.
and the interest and the willingness. It's a tough, because when you said something earlier about operational, I mean, most of them are in operational hell every day.
That's true. And this is where the PAMs can do so much, and these programs need to be sponsored by the executive, sponsored by the CRO, and they need to go across the organization. We're also seeing a lot of work right now that we're doing. How many believe partnering is a sales initiative? No, it's a company way you go to market. So that means products are involved. That means, legal, culture. Everybody, every function is involved in partnering when you do it right. And we'll be publishing a book this summer. And look out with Forbes Books, so it's coming out. It really is coming. All about, I know, I'm very excited. All about this. Graham's going to be taking it all over Europe for us. He just doesn't know it yet. Yeah. Great. Shh. Go again. Okay, good. So we want them to move from what we find is most of these PAMs take either an inside-out approach, what do I need and what do I need my partners to do for me, or What do I need to get my customer to do, and what do I need to get my customer and partner to do? Versus, what is an outside-in approach? What would an example of an outside-in approach be?
I would basically look at my partner's there, which is actually the biggest issue that lady was talking about there. You have to know your company's portfolio.
Right.
And you have to spend the time and invest the time and the effort and the relationships to know your
Partner's business. And these sellers have to understand, and the partner managers too, have to understand the customer and the market's business, which is where, I mean, you guys are you experts in vertical markets and industries? Would you say that Softcat is really good at that?
Actually not, no. I think we're average at it. The legacy way we built the business is that, so our public sector business is all verticalized.
Because it was set up that way.
Well, the company started as an SMB business, and so account managers have a mixture of SMB accounts and enterprise.
Everybody know what SMB is? What's SMB?
Small medium business,
Good.
enterprise accounts, and they cover all sorts of verticals. So we have to kind of put in an overlay effort to pull out all the things that are important to legal professions, whatever it is.
Yeah,
financial institutions, whatever.
and they can pull from those people into these accounts.
We're still developing it.
That's great.
We're not good at, and we need to be better.
Yeah. There is huge opportunity for the partners. This industry expertise, we call it vertical and horizontal, and where those two meet, this intersection of those. Yeah. And then you becoming expert. But this is what these sellers are also up against, right? Because they have a quota, and they've got to hit their number with their customers, and many of them don't know how to really leverage the power of the integrators, right? The power of the partners. And it's not just for bringing a lead. It might be for driving new services. It's through the entire customer journey, these sellers. So these sellers, now it's not just the partner managers that have to change, the sellers have to change. And they've got to figure out, because they're used to selling, many of these sellers in the tech industry, what have they been doing? They've been selling for a vendor for a long time. They've been selling in a linear channel. I work with a distributor and a partner and sell to the customer, and that's it. Well, now he just said there's 4 or 5 or 6 vendors in a solution, right? They're selling in an ecosystem. They're working with hyperscalers. There's in a marketplace. Everything's different than the way it was. Good? Good job. You can click. Are we good on time? Where are we on time? 5 minutes. All right. So data insights is one of them, setting effective KPIs. This is a sample of dashboards that this organization brings so that their PAMs can go and get information. This is something that you guys do well, you all do well, that they can go and get information to bring it to their partners, to have more intelligent conversations. And it's incumbent upon us in operations and program teams to bring these to these teams and to build these sophisticated, because it can't all fall onto the PAM. That's what's happening a lot today. Good. All right. Okay. We know why partnerships fail. What's the number one reason they fail? Okay, so now, Caragol, who I want to introduce you to at Carahsoft, I think they're, $17 billion this year? He runs this public sector distributor, and he was the person that said, you should not go back in, you should start your own company. You could do it. You need to do this. You don't have to go be a channel chief. And I was like, really? You think I could? Anyway, fast forward, he runs a $17 billion in the US public sector company. And he called me and he's like, I just don't get it. Is it the companies that don't know how to build trust, or is it the PAMs? What do you think the answer is? It's both, right? Because sometimes I trust the person. I'll do anything for Mike or Curtis or Mark, but man, that company, I'm not sure about that company. That's not a good example. That was a bad example because they're hosting this. That was not a good example. Disregard that. Sienna, you've historically been a direct company. Right. Or I like the company, but I'm not sure about that person. So both of these are important in this PAM. We have to help build trust. How do you build trust? How do you build organization trust? Why do partner programs exist in the first place? Transparency and trust at scale. Partner program. Now, some of us that grew up in partner program land think we exist just to have partner programs. But we exist to build trust at scale. So if we do that, if you're going to build trust at scale, and if you use that as your guiding principle for how you do everything, are you going to be rigid? No, because you can't build trust at scale that way, right? So how, and this is hard. So institutional trust is equally as important as the individual trust in these organizations and in this new ecosystem. And now we've got to do this with 3 other vendors. You guys have to work together really well. We have to work with you really well, and we have to serve the customer base really well. Good. All right. So what is the number one soft skill that people need in order to be successful in partnering? Let's see if we get it right. Great job, Joe. You were really good in school. Were you a straight A student?
Not in college.
What is the number one skill we have to help the partner managers with on the hard skill side? I mean, it depends, right? It depends on the journey and where you are. The soft skills are a little easier to say what we have to build. The hard skills are really dependent on where Mike's organization is, where Freeze is in the journey and partnering. Yes. The strategic, yeah. How many of you would really consider yourself like top-notch in strategy? Yeah, I would agree. I thought I was really good in strategy, and then I started doing this NACD board certification, and I thought, oh my God, it's like it is a layer that you can always get better at, right? Even when you're really, really good. You keep learning and learning, yeah. Good, all right. What questions, comments? What's on your mind? You can click to the next one.
Not everybody.
It's a hard, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
when you're talking operationally, especially, a lot of things that could be automated that just we always talk about making business easier for our partners and making it easier to do business with us, but that's also really good for our internal, especially our PAMs who have so much on their plate.
And our PAM's job often is as much about internal, or the executive, the channel chiefs, it's as much about internal selling as it is about external, right? Often. Good, what else? I could keep going, but I won't do that because I get really excited about these things, as you can tell.
Super technical, but that trust has to be built with those salespeople that are on the front lines, because if they don't have an understanding of what you're doing with whatever partner manager it may be or whoever the liaison is, nothing ever hits the screen.
This is what, and I am seeing it with, I would say, leading CEOs who are they're just beginning to realize how their sellers have to become great at partnering. It is a new, I can just see it beginning to happen. But yes, you're 100% right. So Joe's got to say, man, across this company, we've all got to get great at partnering, which I think you're on a pretty incredible journey by having everyone here and demonstrating to us that you're committed. It's pretty cool.
One of the challenges we have is we are almost exclusively channel-led, but the direct sellers don't see the value of partners. They
Yes.
just push paper and do the deals. So our PAMs should have the skills to explain the value of the partner.
Well, or they shouldn't have to do that because it has to happen at the top down.
Do you have a channel neutral sales plan?
Or a channel positive sales plan.
Or a
I
channel
haven't
positive?
seen the
Yes. Yeah.
Awareness and understanding the partner's business model. Because, we have that new career technical development program, and I was speaking to them
Oh.
last week. And I went into a different mode. Instead of saying, here's how we do it, I said, how would you build it if you were your own business owner? Like, you're a salesperson for territory. Approach it like, what's my product? What's my customer? What are my channels? How do I leverage that? And I asked them one question, and it was like light bulbs went off. They've been in this program for 7 months. They get paid to do nothing but Sienna every day. And I asked them, do you feel like you're ready to go out there and basically represent us to the world and sell? Every single one of them said no. And I said, your average partner has between 40 to 400 line card items in terms of what they sell. I go, how do you expect them to ever be a version of you? I said, so your expectation of what and your understanding of where the partner's coming from, that's what I'm finding appreciate they've got to be able to co-sell and sell us to that partner.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have to sell through them.
100%.
Our end users. That's when I start getting there.
I love these programs too, these young and career development structured programs. I think it's one of the best things we can do to ramp these folks, or complemented with internships with the partners. I think there's some really neat things happening in that skill space. Good. Anybody else? Comments, questions, thoughts? All right, so I'll leave you with this. What's more important, the hard skills or the soft skills? Both, although I was just having this conversation with Rob Speed today, I will take high will, growth mindset, accelerator of trust, and teach hard skills over any day of the week. And I think we're proving that over and over. What we're starting to see now is the people, we've been doing these programs now for a couple years, the people who leaned into the programs, who've learned, who've adopted it, who've instilled it, are now the highest performers. And so, and they have this common wanting to learn, who talked about curiosity, open-minded, they want to get better all the time. So that is really important. And then what's the other thing I want to leave you with? Trust and PQI, of course. So build your trust building muscles. All right.
And if somebody wanted to do the PQI, how would they go about that?
AchieveUnite.com, Theresa, Jen, Jess, and we'll get you all set up. Awesome. Thank you. Good. All right. Thank you.